Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gonna talk about self-reflection and self-actualization during this time of you know a little bit of isolation. And today we have a guest who is an educator. He's a psychology researcher, and he does researches every now and then. So we're gonna welcome him. Hopefully it's going to be very informative, very insightful and session with you guys. Hello. Hi, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Okay, fine. So thank you for inviting me here. So I'm glad to be a part of your session. Okay.
So yeah, can you introduce yourself a little bit about your work and research work a little bit?
Oh yes. Hello and salam alaikum everyone. Ramadan Kareem to all of you. My name
Yes.
is Mudassir Azam here. I am an educator here, but my work is predominantly deals with people with learning and with behavioral challenges like dyslexia, dyscalculia, and people who have like verbal and non-verbal challenges. Yes, and I do have my specialization in children's literacy as well. So where I promote like I wouldn't say vulnerable topics, but those taboo topics on with people who have learning challenges, behavioral challenges, and some other things where they don't know here. So my goal here is to simplify the content and to and to reach out the word, not just for students like young children, but also to the parents, caregivers, and educators as well. And Alhamdulillah, I've been quite doing well. So soon I'll be going on my first publication on here. So inshallah, it's gonna be soon once the COVID-19 is over. Yeah. So I will let you know about my first publication. Yeah.
Okay. So no spoiler right now.
No
It's a
spoilers
surprise.
right now. Yeah, so I think I literally gave a spoiler here.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so on to the topic of today, self-actualization. Um, so how do you think, or what, in your opinion, as a researcher and stuff like that, what is self-actualization like in definition?
Okay, in like definition wise, self-actualization is the when a person's come to the realization of fulfilling up to their potential and their talents. Yes. So like to maximize those and to reach beyond their potential. So I know we all are neuralistically ingrained to to get the best education, to get the best job, to get the best luxury here. But we were only taught in the education system here. But now lately, when people are more focused on authenticity and like creativity and critical thinking, so it's not just stagnant like as it used to be 5 or 6 decades ago, where people are solely concerned about their job security. So now things have gone too challenging in this contemporary world here. So I will give you an example. Recently, I have read an article about the Arab News, which reached its 45th anniversary, and they have shared like how did they started out there here. So they were the first English language newspaper here in the kingdom. So they started in a garage. They started from a garage, just like how the Steve Jobs started from doing his
It
Apple
started from where?
from his garage, car garage. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. So they have started
Yeah,
like over
continue.
there. Yeah. Yes, and then they have started gradually. They have been making progress here, and now it's one of the leading newspapers in the Middle East and like in the world as well. Which is I was quite proud to say that because I'm still an avid reader here, like when it comes to newspapers and literature work, because to me, not just as a researcher, but it's also a hobby of mine to read the papers and read what the latest research has been drawn and what are the current challenges as well, and just to get an update and get with the latest trend and what's going around out there. So there are several things literature wouldn't get published straight away. So all you have to do is to get in touch with the government reports and with the newspapers, and then
So
easily
these
get.
things help you with your research.
Oh yes, that does help
Yeah.
me to
Reading
like identify.
newspapers, and of course you have to know about the recent news.
Yes, recent news here. So yes, so I think I have given beyond the definition of self-actualization here. So I
Okay.
chose the example of Arab news here because they have started from a car garage, like the parking space, like in your car,
Yes, car
in your
garage. Okay.
indoor setting out there. Yeah. So I've seen their pictures here, and they did share like where was their first printing publishing house, and where have they gone now. So I still know the location, although I like haven't been to that place for quite often. That is somewhere in the Sharafia district. So I've been there a lot here, but I didn't know that that particular place was the printing publishing house. That
Oh,
particular place was an office where they used to do all the writing, yeah,
okay.
with all the journals.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
you talked about how you like you visited this publishing house, right? Okay.
Right now, that publishing house is in collaboration with Medina Printing House. So that's in Medina Road here. I think you all know.
Yes.
So like previously they were in a small place, and then like as they have progressed with their work here, they have moved on to Medina Road. Yeah, so they completely relocated.
Um,
Okay.
so you said self-actualization is about having your full potential, having the best jobs, having, you know, everything that is best in life. Okay, but the question is, how can we achieve that? Like, is it like, how, is it easy? Is it difficult?
Well, certainly there are like challenges for each and every human being as well. So I will start with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like it's a
Okay,
five-step one.
yes, please.
Okay. The first step is with the physiological needs
Psychology
like the
needs.
food, water, and like essentials to survive. The second stage here is your safety and like security here, like your roof to live and
Job
the
security.
place where you can, yeah, yeah. And the third one is love and belongingness. Like where do you see yourself in the society, and how can you affiliate towards them? What commonalities can you match with them? And what can you contribute towards that part here where you see, okay, there is a huge need here, and there are people who have similar interests like me, and there are people who really appreciate my work, my kindness. Yeah, yeah. And the fourth step is self-esteem. We all want to be good to ourselves. We all want to be the best of ourselves,
Of
like
course.
identity wise. The fifth one is self-actualization.
Which is
When
the
you reach
topic of
the,
today.
yes. So that is like you have reached you have reached to your potential, and you have reached over there, like just as I gave the example of the Arab news, like how they have started from a small garage hunt, and
From a
then
car
now
garage. Yeah, it's a very inspiring story actually for a newspaper like this. Yeah.
I have plenty of
Have
examples,
you
but I
worked there or you just like happened to
no,
go?
like I haven't worked there. Like I didn't had any work with them here, but on voluntary basis, when I was special needs teacher here, we had one project where they have sponsored that was on World Children's Day and
Children with
World
beauty?
World Autism Day as well. Yeah. So they have sponsored at my school where I used to work.
Okay.
So they have sponsored their work here, and they have made their contribution. And we were very happy that there are like enterprises out there who show what you call social importance and their
Yeah.
contribution as well. So like I was pretty much privileged to be a part of that school because that was I was pretty much new as a special needs teacher here. And then as time went by, we all move on to your next phase of our life. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so
So
um
actualization is one point here. Like you have reached to your potential.
yeah,
Let's say you are a writer. You have okay. Like I'll give an example of Dan
yes,
Brown.
please.
Where was he in the beginning? And now he's well known. And despite of having that, he have reached to his potential. He is among the best selling writers and authors of his book here. There is one more step they have recently brought that here. That's called transcendence here. That you have
Yes, this is what I was going to talk about as well.
marvel.
Transcendence, yeah.
Transcendence.
So we can talk about this later, or if you want to
No,
talk
like
about
I'll
it, no problem.
like in a short here, like I'll just simplify and I'll just give a short brief. I don't want to give a long lecture or a webinar
No
here.
problem.
So what the transcendence is here, you may have reached to your potential, but there's more out there that you could reach out. People here. So for instance, I will take an example of Virgin by
There's
Richard
a
Branson.
store.
Virgin Megastore, no, the firm, but that's a part of which owns and like operated by Richard Branson. I think you know.
The Virgin,
Okay.
the company. Okay.
Okay. So how he started out there, he has started with the first like magazine shop, and then sadly he started with a store, and then he started with an airline, and then he started with, and now he was well known, and then he got his own trains in the UK here, and I rode his train as well here. So, and when it comes to transcendence, now he have reached to the moon.
So
I
he
think
surpassed the actualization.
space.
Yeah.
Space. So now he has reached to the space out there. So I don't know. There are or they will be soon going to start what they call space flights to the moon. Yeah. So that's the best example I believe. Yeah. I think it's also known as SpaceX. Okay, there are two people who are doing like in the space. One is done by Richard Branson, and the other one is done by the like owner of Tesla, like Elon Musk. Yeah, Elon Musk. So there are two people who have reached to the moon. Yeah.
Okay. So nice. A little bit of explanation. So do they have any certain characteristics like the self-actualized people, or
So
what are the
actualization
traits?
Well, if you look back to the history, and if we have looked, and if you look at the people, like successful people who have made their way, all it paid here is their hard work, perseverance, and being non-judgmental to themselves. They just did the best work that they could do, and they don't aim for perfectionism, and they don't compare with like anyone else, and they want to be who they are, not to be an XYZ person out there. So
yeah, so this is a good point. Yeah.
yeah, and they want to show who they are to the people, so they can identify person by that, by their work and by their like ethics and like etiquettes. So we don't want any kind of, okay, I know, like if you look at the Bollywood or like Hollywood industry out there, there are many actor and like actresses, but none of them, they don't want to be the second duplicate version of them. They may be inspired by them, but they don't want to be a 100% like copy or like carbon copy here. So
everyone
they have to move in way. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, like you mentioned, really important characteristics. I think. Actually, it's based. It's. I mean, everything can do like maybe this is the, I can say, like the stepping stone to actualization. You need to be hardworking and to like be yourself, not be like anybody else. So yeah, I think it's really important.
Okay. Let me add a few more things over there here. And they have never hesitated when they need, when they ask for help from someone else out there, because they don't hesitate to ask, like to help someone or to help themselves or to seek the advice. They don't usually hesitate out there, because this is something you cannot do everything on your own. There are certain phases like of our life where you would be guided by a mentor or a coach, or there are people who you just met for a few moments who could bring a huge positive impact on your life here. So you might learn a lot from them, and that's how you do it out there here. So they don't hesitate to ask for help, and they never hesitate to ask any questions, and they do challenge their status quos in the society here, because if you, so it's not just in the Western and in the Eastern world here. I'm speaking like in a general. In a in a society, we all want to be one, and we all want to adhere to the same values and to the same cultural
Yes.
norms as well here. But there will be some who wouldn't conform 100%. Like they might want to excel in some area where people who are completely uncertain, and they may be completely against of that area. Let's say I came from a family of doctors, and right now I am heading to be an entrepreneur and a psychologist soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So my own culture, like it's not about culture, like it's the wider community here where people don't know much about, okay, who they are, what do they do. So they were completely against me, and they said, okay, what would you do, and what do you see yourself like in the future? So they might exaggerate, or they might instill that self-doubt in you, and you keep asking yourself, and you self-question yourself, okay, am I doing it like in a right way here, or am I not perfect yet, or am I not good enough? So those doubts, combat those doubts, and they just work hard and they just do their best, and once they reach to their own platform, that displays, that portrays to the entire society, okay, despite of our like commonalities here, we still have our own identity. Because when you're squashing for conformity, it is giving a less emphasis on individuality here. And in these days here, we are more focused on individuality rather than conforming. Yeah, so we want diversity, and we want people from different backgrounds, different disciplines, and different ethnicities out there here. And we want to embrace that diversity and cross-cultural understanding, because
Yeah.
modern day and globalization has
Yeah. So
shaped us all.
especially, during this time, now the togetherness and the collective society is
Mhm.
becoming more. Yeah.
Are you
Oh,
speaking about the COVID-19, like what's happening around now, or is it
no, I'm saying
generally?
because of what's happening now. We're not now. We're more like we're becoming like one. Like
Mhm.
what you were saying. It's the notion of like we are all in this together, right?
Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
yeah, there. So we cannot say, okay, everyone, okay, not everyone can be doctor, not everyone can be engineer here
Of
out
course,
there
there
here.
are some special, like
Yeah,
not
they have their
everyone is
own
the same. Yeah.
field of like expertise and their specialization out there here. Like even if it's someone, an artist or a writer or like a linguist out there, and and a person who's like engaged in psycholinguistics and in the classics and literature out there here. So these fields are like often underrepresented here, especially here in the Eastern societies, whereas in the West, it's given more value, not value, like importance, I would say here, like the best way to say. So
You're talking about like the West culture. They're giving more values to, uh,
importance to like other fields
or
as
more
well, yeah.
importance. Okay.
Okay, so now, okay, since modern day and globalization has shaped us to the entire world, so we are no longer conforming to
One culture, like you said.
monocultural, not monoculture, like monocultural, like
No, no, not. I'm not
cross-cultural,
saying mono. I mean, like we're like multicultural. Right.
multicultural environment. Yes, exactly. That was I was saying out there. Yeah. So we have moved from the notion of
Okay.
monoculture, from from like homogeneity to heterogeneous out there.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's a good thing, and I prefer to be in a multicultural environment. So it's not just people you have learned like where they're coming from here. You also learn and share about their experiences, their challenges, their like culture, their like work
Of course.
ethics, and it also broaden your understanding. And it boosts your creativity and like reasoning skills as well here. So now we are not looking towards a complexion of superiority or inferiority as well. I think that is something I admire the most in this era here. Yeah.
So okay, so like we have to bring this up. I mean, it's
Mhm.
partial curfew, not full now, but still, you have more time to stay home, maybe to reflect and to do stuff like that. So you think maybe through the self reflection, like we can find like our own potential or be a little bit like we know what we want to do to become like actualized through the reflection, like maybe
Mhm.
spending time alone and because you know with all the noise and stuff maybe it's hard for us to like know exactly what we want to
You
reach.
reminded me one thought, like one quote from some amazing person out there here. I don't exactly remember her name, but that echoes in my ears from the radio. Don't ask a child what do they want to be. Ask a child what do they want to solve their problem to make a better world.
Okay.
What change do you want to bring it here? They're here, so it's not just about people appreciating your hard work and your expertise, but also you will be contributing to the upcoming generation out there here, because
Yeah.
it's not just you and your success, you are also leading to your upcoming generations as well out there here. So be the best role model to them and the current generation. Yes. And that is one thought I shared from one wise person. And coming back to the point, self-reflection is something, it's a skill, and it can be learned and it can be unlearned.
Okay.
Okay,
So it's a
and
skill.
to me,
Okay.
okay, it can be learned and unlearned.
Okay.
So it's the trained, like you have to train yourself for that here.
Okay.
And when you have to train by, okay, I may sound a bit rebellious out there here, but do not adhere to the cultural norms. Like, not by cultural norms, I mean conformity. Because when we are conforming, there are times we may blindfoldedly conform without even reasoning, without even understanding, without even analyzing the context,
Okay.
what's happening around there here. So like
Yeah,
critical
I get
thinking,
it.
reasoning, and collaboration, and to be more like openness and consciousness. Okay, consciousness, openness, agreeableness, and extraversion and neuroticism. I think I've said about the big five. That's a psychology program you may have heard about here. So you can assess that one. Like, there is an online questionnaire. It's completely free of charge to use that here. Um, you have to build that skills, and you have to reflect yourself. Okay, and don't be, don't let be the prisoner of perfectionism out there here, because in this world no one is perfect. We all make mistakes, we all have our own like challenges, and we all learn from time to time out there here. And the second point is, don't compare yourself, don't compare your life challenges with someone else,
Okay.
especially that happens in your close family and your close relatives out there. Okay, oh, I must have been, or like I have been more like challenging times like than you, or so try not to compare their life with someone else.
Yeah.
It's your life, and take full responsibility of your own life. Be the best, work hard,
Yeah.
and approach to
They
people.
always say like everyone lives their own journey, like
Yep.
their own pace.
Yeah. And one thing is kind of neglected out there here, that there are people out there who are happy to mentor you, or who are like happy to advise you or to recommend you to the certain route. Don't be afraid to go and ask for help, or like ask for their like feedback or like suggestion out there here. okay, one may not feel comfortable, but hey, you are in your own, you are completely responsible like in your life. I think, like if you go back to the history, a king has many ministers, wazir, and each and every one advises. Like after they have their meeting during, they, each and every minister, they provide their own suggestion. But what happens with the king? The king makes his own decision out there. He may take the opinion, suggestions from them, but he makes his own decision.
Okay.
He doesn't take 100% from that. Okay, fine, just go on with the heuristics like simplicity. They're just making a decision making. No, he makes his own decision by hearing them, and then he contemplates, and then he analyzes the situation. Then he makes a wise decision. Yeah. So I think that is something we all have to bear in mind. Okay, there are no shortages of criticizers, naysayers. There will be always people who are trying to lower you down by all means. But hey, you are responsible for your own life. So don't let someone else be codependent on your life. Take full responsibility, work hard, reach out to people. And if you need a professional help, they are always happy to seek people like the ones who are willing to bring change, like not just change to be successful, but to also contribute to the table where which is no one has ever expanded out there. So I can go on with many examples out there here. So if we have time, we will cover that aspect.
Yes, it's very important. Like, I mean, it's very important, to ask for suggestions. But at the end of the day, you said like the king will do his own decision. But of course, there should be many like ministers to help them, and you know, we need other people for us. You is there a particular way to reflect maybe, or a best method, or anyone has their own maybe you know
Mindfulness does come into play. Reading, like not just simply reading, but reading and like analyzing the text and questioning, reasoning, journaling, and listen to some people here, the ones who share their stories, like the people, like both successful people and the ones who are from your family and from close and distant relatives. They do share their stories, like how, like when they were at our age, what were the challenges and how they have succeeded on it. Listen to them and then analyze on them their their stories, and then come to a part. What have you learned? The wisdom from them.
yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is something you have to invest your time out there here. So I am sadly to say that here, even in the academia,
Mm.
there is a less emphasis on self-reflection and on reflective skills.
Yes.
Though they promote critical thinking, but there is an absence of mindfulness, and that comes into self-reflection. I think that is something we all have to build and work and invest by all means.
Yeah.
So, like even the employers, the prospective employers are seeking this skill. Yeah.
um, very nice, I said. Like, maybe how often, like, we can reflect, maybe like, I mean, weekly, on a weekly basis, or maybe every day we should reflect. Like people say, at the end of the day, I will see what I want, or I mean,
There are no hard or fast rules. So it's up to you. You could
it's
reflect
so
whenever you want.
there is no particular like time, or I mean, not time. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, I mean, everybody is different. Like maybe, like you said, it doesn't have to be like periodically, or
It's the muscle. Use it or lose it. Or you can just simply tune into your mind. Like even if you're heading to a coffee shop. So we just simply place our order straight away. But do we really think, okay, what are we ordering? What am I placing in like order for? what does the environment around me, like your sensations, your visual, and your like other senses. So you can be a reflective person like all the time. So to me, if you ask me,
So
I
being
do
reflective, you
reflect.
said it's depends on the personality, you say?
Personality.
Or maybe we
It's
can
hard.
have
They
like
are
we can
individual
like
different.
organize a session every day, like let's say. So
You
it really
can
depends
do
on maybe the person's needs, if he needs to reflect right now or he doesn't need to.
you can do it whenever you want. You can do it in your lunch breaks. You can do whenever you have
Yeah.
free time. But if you ask me, don't. If you're bored, don't take out your smartphone.
If
Take out
what?
some time. Don't take out your smartphone and fiddle on Instagram or Facebook, because what we
Yeah.
do, that's the only device we got. When we are bored, when we are in the waiting room, we just simply said, okay, let me take out your phone and keep scrolling on your social media here. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, that's it out there here. So we are
I
not
think
making our
social media is a big disturbance for reflection. Like because you're seeing a lot of things from the world, you're not being isolated with yourself. So
Mhm.
that's why I mean maybe people should take advantage of this time.
Like I'll give you my my example. I do always carry a backpack here or like a small satchel with me. So whenever I'm in the waiting room, it could be like in a hospital, it could be in the workplace, it could be somewhere else where I had to wait a couple of minutes or maybe half an hour or like e- even if it's an hour, I just simply take out my book, hard copy, and I simply read it out there here. And the other people around me, they might be fiddling on their smartphones. They might be watching videos, funny videos, anything out there here. I just take out the hard copy and I start reading out there here. So I think that's the best way to digitally detox yourself at certain degree and to manage a
So maybe
healthy
carry
digital
like a
detox.
notebook anywhere you
You can
go.
carry a notebook.
That's a good
You can
method.
write out there. And I do have my own journal like as well. And there are times I may leave behind in my car or my leave at my like office. In that cases, I just simply take out my smartphone and I use the notes. That's how we type it out there.
Yeah, I usually use the notes from the phone, but also I have notebooks that, and I sometimes I also handwrite. So yeah, it depends. I mean, it depends on your preference, I guess. But you know, as you said, it's a skill that we must learn.
Yeah.
So why is it so difficult to be self-actualized? We don't see a lot of people who are like this. I mean, like you give examples like the owner of Virgin, like these big people. Why is it so hard in this in today's society, like to be self-actualized?
I
That's
always have a
not easy.
tendency
I mean, we
to
can
look back in
reflect, we
history.
can do these stuff, but is it easy? You know,
It's
it's not.
not going to be okay. Like if you ask me, I completely remove in my vocabulary. Don't say it's too hard. Don't say it's too easy. And
Mm,
don't say it's kind of mediocre. I simply say the best thing is it's quite challenging.
challenging. I like that.
Challenging is the best way to say out there here because when we say hard, tough, easy, you're kind of comparing your task that okay, this thing like anyone can do, but in the reality, you have that skill to do more than like others who are not completely interested or who don't have such like expertise or who don't have such knowledge. Yeah, so don't compare your task, don't compare your work, don't compare your identity, don't compare your profession, and don't compare your social status.
Good emphasis on no comparison here. Okay. So you think people are struggling with it, or like you said, it's a bit challenging. Okay, so going back to the hierarchy of needs, which is, you know, we need to know our needs in order to become to reach that high level in the pyramid, you know.
Mhm.
So everyone has needs, of course, but how can we discover them right now? I mean, maybe through reflection we can discover them, because we're not
Yeah,
just gonna reflect. We need to know, like, maybe our needs, or if we have needs, we like revisit our needs.
that can happen here. Like the first person, like a human being, wants its essentials to like survive, food and water.
Yeah.
Once that is fulfilled, like he'll go to the second ladder. Once that is fulfilled, like he'll go on the third. Once that is fulfilled, I can go on the fourth. And once that is fulfilled, he go on the fifth and sixth finally. So this is something that
Okay.
people develop from lifetime. I think from time to time, like those are your life stages out there here, and you work to reach over there here. You can't just simply reach from physiological to directly. You have to work hard, and you have to make small steps, one step at a time. You can't just simply just skyrocket and go there. Oh, fine, like I have reached to
Yes.
the moon and
Yes,
stars. You know,
but my question is, how can we know what we need, like our needs? Do I just need to survive, or maybe some people, yes, they need to survive, but and maybe, some others, they want more out of life. Is that what you mean, or
reach to the skies.
reach to the skies? No, but
Okay, challenge yourself.
actually,
Challenge
it
yourself.
is it is true. Like some people, they just want, job security. Let's say they don't want to become managers or CEOs, or but our session here is not like those people. We want the people who have more needs, maybe to achieve more out of life.
To some,
I made.
job security,
Huh?
job security, and family inheritance, like the wealth out there here, that may be their source of self-actualization out there here. And there are people who have their own job, or who may have certain, they have their own needs based on their own subjective, and they might place it on self-actualization. Okay, that's it. I have reached out there here, but they have never invested their like energy beyond that here.
So
So
you're
one
saying
has to,
maybe for some people, like, to be secure at one's job, this is their actualization, right? They don't have to be like in big positions, or right. So everyone has their own actualization.
yes, but most importantly, you have to identify on which step are you there here, like in the physiological. Because if you ask me, from my personal experience, I am between self-esteem, like the fourth step, and love and belongingness. On
Okay.
between those two steps, like I may have reached at a certain degree to self-actualization. I am more eagerly interested to invest my whole energy to reach beyond my potential out there here. So that leads up to self-actualization and beyond transcendence. Yeah.
Great.
So you have to know where you are right now. So there are times you might be doing your best to reach the self-actualization, but you may feel yourself, okay, am I doing it right? Am I doing wrong? Okay, am I getting enough respect, self-respect, or respect from people, or acceptance? So what is exactly happening to that person? That person is doing their best to reach to the self-actualization, but at that reality is kind of impairing and hindering at the third stage, which is called loving belongingness. Because there are people like around you and your own like happiness that kind of hinders you. Yes.
Yes,
So
I get you.
so you
So
have to
it's like
keep resist
seeking approval from
back and
others,
forward.
right? I mean, I think it's kind of hard, to call yourself like self-actualized. Maybe. I mean, when do we call ourselves? Or maybe it still depends on um, if you
It's
think you
person to
reached
person.
what you reached, or
It's person to person.
right,
It varies from one person to
it's one
another.
person, yeah.
Out there. So collectively,
But
it may be challenging.
maybe, okay, right. It depends on one person to one person, but sometimes self-actualization or society can affect, like, how we view self-actualized people. Like, maybe someone, let's say, a mother who's a housewife, and she's raising her children very well. She feels that she reached her potential, or she's self-actualized in a way. but society views it differently, right? Like, so maybe that's the reason why we don't know who, like, society can affect. Do you think society can affect that, how we view ourselves as
Yes, indeed.
self-actualized?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So the person may have reached to the self-actualization phase and still pursuing to be the best of themselves. What's happening in the Maslow's hierarchy, that is pulling them back in the third and fourth stage in loving, belongingness, and like self-esteem. So those two things are affecting on the individual's life. So they have to keep challenging and they have to take in control of their lives and to infinity and beyond from Toy Story.
What about culture? I think it's different from culture to culture as well.
Culture, yes. Well, one may have, okay, we can divide into East and the West, or when it comes to East and one,
Like
Middle
for
East.
example, a self-actualized person in the Middle East and a self-actualized person in the West. I think it differs. It's different, right? Or is it the same?
It's pretty much similar.
I mean, does culture plays a role in self-actualization?
Oh, yes, like culture is a part of that. Yeah. So in these days, I don't think culture is the same thing as we used to describe now, because right now is we have focused more on individual differences. We have accepted like differences from people, and we have accepted generational differences, and we know that there are differences, and people, they are like interested, or they have their their potential and their like interest to go in a different fields, rather than going in the most top-notch fields like in business and in the medical science. And there are two more fields like engineering as well, and there's one more like in classic and arts and literature. Yes. And apart from that, what happened to the remaining fields? Why there are not so many people? So in these days we have accepted that more. Yeah. So culture does play, and culture plays in loving, belongingness, and self-esteem part here. So those are the two phases.
Yeah.
It's between. Yeah. So it keeps goes up and down.
So I think, in order to be like self-actualized without any influences, you need to like separate yourself from not your culture, but I mean, don't be influenced by your culture. I mean, it's all about the self, right? And not society, because sometimes society, maybe they give more respect, to, let's say, like business. I mean, this is just an example. Like if you have a business or something, they give you more respect than an ordinary person. So sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm not actualized. I need to open up a business to be actualized. So it's because of society at the end, right?
Okay, you raised a very interesting point out there here. So the person want to be at the similar level here there. So is that person wanted to focus or achieve on that phase just because they want to be where they are, or they want to achieve that social acceptance from the people?
Social, like, yeah.
And
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes people are being influenced by society, so they put needs based on society, not based on them. So that's what I'm saying.
yeah, that is a thing where conformity plays in it out there. And in that particular segment of your question, I think this is something I have to dedicate a separate episode or a talk for that, because when it comes to cultural psychology, uh, that that would take a long time. Like
Yeah.
that would take more time to touch on that part deeply. Yeah.
Okay, so so if you can sum up or summarize what we said today, like it's very important, to know what your needs are, your personal needs, without any external influences or stuff like that. And you need to, reflect every now and then, maybe. There's no right or wrong in this, like you said. everybody. It depends on each person. Like you can reflect whenever you want. You could be a natural reflective person, or you could, maybe you need to spend more time to reflect, right? Especially here in isolation or stuff like that.
Self-compassion, and the person has to spend more
So,
time on themselves.
but I think it's important. Like even if I'm not like naturally, I do reflect. Like I need to reflect because I need to know what I want, and maybe that's time when you need to spend time and know really how can I reach my full potential. So I think everyone should do that.
Yep. And I just want to touch on external influencers.
Yeah.
I know there are people out there, like they may be the most
It could
successful
be also
people.
big, but I think this is a very wide topic. It could be even your parents. Your parents want you to be a doctor, but for you, you don't feel like you need to be a doctor to be self-actualized.
Yep.
Yeah, because a lot of things might play, but at the end, like we said, back to the self.
That's another point you just gave me out there here. I think that is something I have to dedicate another episode or content for that here. So I do have my content to cover on that part here between on person success here, like is it something they are like achieving for their own happiness, or they're completely dependent their like happiness on the society, or on your elderly people, could be parents, could be your elderly siblings. Yeah, so you have to ask yourself, are you achieving this because you could gain their acceptance and respect from the community, or is it something you want to be happy to be the best of it?
Yeah. I think we covered most of the points, but we still have a fun little segment. I do it for most of all my guests. It's a very short, fun segment of random questions.
Okay.
If you don't mind, of course. What's your favorite city to travel to?
Favorite city? I don't have favorite city. I have favorite cities, and Jeddah is among them. London, okay. I don't want to say much about
So London and Jeddah.
London. London, Jeddah, Glasgow, Edinburgh, and okay, like a Boston is like pretty much common in the UK, yes. And cities, like I've been to China, like I've been to many places, but it's hard to rate me the best ones. But the place where I became more prosperous and bloomed and blossomed was in Scotland than in England. Yeah. Regional wise, I would highly recommend Scotland, like Edinburgh, Glasgow, Stirling, and those nearby towns, and the countryside nature. So I loved it, and the people made my life.
Okay, what's your favorite cuisine?
I'm not gonna say Indian food because I eat every day.
Okay, Indian.
Okay.
Okay, so
I came from that heritage.
It's Indian, right?
No, no, I'm not gonna say that. Apart from that, I love Saudi cuisine, and I love Lebanese cuisine as well.
Okay.
Lebanese.
Just pick one, please. The most recent book you read?
I got not book. I got books, and okay, I read. Okay, I got a book here. It's called Factfulness by Hans Rosling, and it's a quite nice book here. So
what's it called?
Factfulness by Hans Rosling.
Factfulness. A trait you hate in a person.
Narcissism, conformity, and perfectionism. I'm a biggest enemy to these three things.
Okay, a trait you love in a person.
Openness, and openness is a very broad inside, which includes appreciation and
you can pick one or two.
Okay, like I will just pick one. Okay, my first major one is, I would say, acceptance of the people who they are, like not how they want you to be. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Something you are good at.
Traveling, history, psychology, photography, and connecting with people from different cultures. Nice. And guess. So,
Something you are bad at.
okay, I'll be honest. I do struggle a lot with quantitative analysis, like the ones you have to work with the numbers. I struggle a lot here because my work is mostly done with the qualitative work. So I do struggle to juggle with the numbers, with
All right.
numbers and certain text. Yeah,
Okay. Your favorite season of the year?
winter.
Do you believe in luck?
No, I don't believe in luck. Like it,
You don't.
I don't believe in luck. I think it's all like life. There are certain things which are in and which are beyond your control. So you have to accept as things. When they say like who believes luck here, so it's not about luck here. It's about when the opportunity hits.
Your favorite animal and why?
Oh, cat family. Like in the cat family, like whoever comes in the cat family, lion, tigers, cats, lynx, I love them.
You like these? Any phobias?
Oh, I do have out there. I used to have social anxiety, but not anymore. Alhamdulillah, with the professional help,
You
and I
overcome it,
invest in
yeah.
myself. Okay, apart from heights, but I do confront them because I'm also a mountain climber. So we look at the dog. Let's say big dog, like when the dogs salivate. Yeah,
Coke or Pepsi?
I prefer Coke because it's so well balanced, not too.
Do you like to spend time in seaside, mountains, or countryside?
Seaside and mountains.
Your favorite dessert?
Omali,
Wow, Ali, Arabian desserts. Wow. What did you have for iftar?
I had fruits and I had halim. But the Indian version out there because we have like enriched with spices and that makes it more delicious.
I hope this was an informative session. I hope you get something out of it, like self-actualization and how to reflect, how to know your needs, because this is the main topic of today. And thank you so much, Mudassir Azam, for joining us, and thank you very much for watching.